I'm going to jump into understanding the process and avoiding the most common mistakes. So you want to stay tuned for this. So really at the end of the day, everyone, the process is rather simple, but sometimes not easy. And it really gets broken down to 4 or 5 steps. You got stage 0, get pre-qualified by Carmelo or a trusted mortgage professional. This way, you've got essentially your plan, your guardrails as to and direction of which way you're going to go with your search. Then stage 1 is really, at that point, it's the fun part. It's screening, showing, finding properties, shopping basically for a home. And I can tell you at this stage is where you're going to find out what really works for you and what doesn't work for you, okay? Then stage 2, that's when you're going to be placing an offer on the home of your dreams. So that would include the terms such as the price, closing date. You're going to be negotiating those terms accordingly. And if all goes well, there is a conditional period or due diligence. That's where you're going to get your approval for the financing. You're going to do a home inspection, make sure the home is to your satisfaction, as well as satisfying any other relevant conditions. That usually lasts between 1 and 2 weeks. And if all goes well from there, it's time for closing, usually between 30 and 60 days from that time, and that's when you get the keys, okay? Now, I know that is a very, very short summary, but what I can tell you is that there are at different stages, you're going to come across some hurdles, and that's where you want a real estate professional to guide you through that and at least to tell you what the next steps are, okay? So that's really important. Now, some of the top mistakes and how to avoid. So these will happen these potentially can happen at any point. But first, I always like to outline the myth of the perfect home. Very often, especially with first-time buyers, they see watch a lot of HGTV, and they want to buy that home that is of their dreams. So you're talking about granite counters, beautiful kitchens, open concept. What I can tell you though is that the reality is you will own more than one home in your lifetime. As you can see from this chart, you're supposed to buy around 6 homes in your lifetime, right? And usually at the beginning, from ages 25 all the way to 45, that's when your income is increasing. At the same time, your family is becoming larger, and that's why you see a lot more turnover at that point. And then as you get older, it starts to slow down, okay? But what I stress to people is what you want to do is find a home that's not a 10 out of 10, but an 8 out of 10. Something where you can start to live in, grow some equity, and then work towards that dream home within time, okay? So just keep that in mind when you're looking at homes. Number 2 is not properly budgeting closing costs. Now, when you're purchasing a home, you're going to be exposed to some closing fees. The 2 biggest ones are land transfer tax and lawyer's fees, okay? Now, lawyer's fees are simply the fees that are used for a lawyer to close on the property and act on your behalf. Land transfer tax is essentially a tax in lieu of HST. Resale properties are exempt from HST, thank God, because 13% is quite a lot of money on, let's say, 400 or 500 or 600,000. However, the government still wants its money, so they've instituted something called land transfer tax, okay? And it's not an exact math, but what I like to do right now is I'm gonna take you through an example of how you can budget yourself for these relevant costs. So I'm just gonna do a share screen. Now, panels, can you see that? It says mortgage calculator on the very top. Awesome, thank you. So let's do, as an example, 600,000, okay? So we're gonna kind of take you through this mortgage calculator. If you wanna do this yourself, this is a nice exercise. We'll share it in the chat group so you can fiddle around with this and play. So let's say my budget is 600,000. This on the top shows the different down payments from, in this case, just shy of 6% all the way to 20%. The reason this is not 5% is because the moment you cross over 500,000 on the purchase price, you got to put 10% for every dollar over 500,000, okay? And then you've got upwards of 20%. So you can see here, this is your down payment. Then you have your mortgage insurance. So the mortgage insurance is applicable for any purchase whereby you don't have 20% down. So that insurance that is there to protect the bank in case of default is added on top of your mortgage. And then you have your total mortgage here. So you can see the different ranges from 587 to 480, depending on your down payments. Now I'm going to select the standard amortization, which is the length of time it takes to pay off the mortgage. And I'm also going to choose a rate. Wow, those are pretty low rates, but I'm going to do 2.5% just to be conservative. And then this calculator will spit out the various mortgage, the monthly mortgage basically. So you can see that 20%, my mortgage here is about $2,150. When I put the minimum down payment is $2,632. Okay. One thing to note here, you'll see that there's not a big difference between 10 and 20%. Just about, what is that, 300 bucks or so? And that's one thing to make mention. A lot of people say, well, I want to get the 20% down to avoid the mortgage insurance. By the time that may happen, the prices may have increased to make up for that difference in this mortgage insurance premium. And it may be worthwhile for you to simply buy today as opposed to buy in the future. Okay. Now, the land transfer tax. So going back to the closing costs, land transfer tax on this $600,000 home in Mississauga is $84.75. Now, if I am buying in Toronto, for anyone that's looking to buy in Etobicoke, Scarborough, North York, those respective areas, the land transfer tax for those people, it's a special rate of double, $16,950. The privilege of living in Toronto. Great city, but it's very expensive. That being said, for those first-time buyers out there, you will get a credit, in this case in Toronto, of $84.75. So that is a first-time buyer rebate for anyone that's never purchased a home in their life anywhere in the world. You will get that rebate, so it drops to half, $84.75. For people that are looking to buy anywhere outside of Toronto, so it could be Mississauga, it could be Brampton, it could be anywhere, let's say Toledo in this case, it would be $44.75. Okay. Now, let's kind of see here what cash is needed. So if I'm, let's say, putting down 10% on the $600,000 property, this is the amount of cash I'm going to need at the time of closing. I'm going to need my down payment of $60,000. Now, because I'm getting the insurance, there is a tax on that of $1,339. So it's not the premium, it's just the tax, the PST associated with it. Land transfer tax in this case is $44.75. That's net of the credit. Lawyer's fees together with title insurance, about $1,600 to $1,800 I budget for. In total, you need to have about $67,000 in this example. Okay. The other things to the budget for are your home inspection fees, at your discretion. It's going to be between $300 to $500. And then you may have this appraisal fee from the bank. Typically, most banks will cover it, but just in case you want to just have that set aside, it's $300. So again, if you'd like to play around with this calculator, or if you want to drop that in perhaps in the chat group, just share the link here and people can have a look at that. All right, so that covers the closing costs. Now, the other big mistake that people do is walking away from a great home when negotiations are at a stalemate. And usually it's at the point that it's maybe $5,000 or $10,000 difference. And on a $500,000 home, even though it may seem like a lot, it's really not material. When you put in perspective, that $10,000 may amount to about $45 a month on your mortgage. So it may make the difference between something you like versus something that you love. Keep that in mind when that moment comes up. The other thing you want to do is you want to have your deposit, not your down payment, but your deposit on the purchase to be ready within 24 hours upon acceptance. So after you've negotiated your deal, you're going to need to provide a deposit that's going to be roughly between 3 to 5% of the purchase price. So let's say on 500,000, it may range between 15 and 25,000. Have that money in an account that's accessible. There are some accounts such as Tangerine, PC Financial that may take upwards of 2-3 days. You don't want to be stressed out about that. Now, Carmelo talked about this, not getting properly pre-qualified. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I will emphasize that you do want to have everything in writing. You want to make sure that you are 100% pre-approved. And again, this is the pre-approval versus the mortgage commitment. Carmelo touched on this. There are two sides to this, and I'll reiterate that you are pre-approved, but the asset or the home needs to be approved as well, and be something the bank is willing to loan on. And there are reasons for that because they're using it as collateral. So again, Carmelo mentioned that. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The last thing I'll mention for anyone that is looking to buy a condo, that includes condo townhouses, condo apartments. A lot of people confuse condo with like a high rise. It could be a home potentially. It could be a townhouse. It is essentially a form of ownership. Why I stress that is you're going to want to review something called a status certificate. What that document really tells you is how those maintenance fees are being managed and if there are any issues with the condo corp. Because you're not just an owner of the four walls around you, you're essentially an owner of the entire complex. And you want to ensure that that money is being managed properly and there aren't any issues. We've come across situations where people, the ownership, have to pay upwards of $20,000 each for certain repairs. So for example, a garage. If there's an old garage and need to repair the membrane, they're gonna then they say, well, we don't have enough money in our reserve fund for this expense, so we got to now ask or demand each owner to contribute towards that major capital expenditure, and we've seen that upwards of $20,000 in some cases. The point I'm trying to make is you want to check the status certificate. You're going to review it. Your realtor will review it, and also your lawyer that's involved will review it with you. So where to find the best deals? We're going to take some time here to share with you how we search for properties. So what I'm going to do here essentially is I'm going to set up a search on our MLS system. A lot of people are familiar with realtor.ca and other sort of public sites, but this system that we have available, we're able to share with you, and you can actually create your own searches. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you how that all works. So just give me a second because I need to log in because they kick you out every 5 minutes from the system. That's how protective they are of it. So just bear with me for a second. All right, guys, can you tell me if you can see this large map with a bunch of red dots? Okay. Eric, you're going to be my client. So,
Sounds good.
all right. So you're looking for a home. Let's kind of see, well, what do you let's go with budget here. What kind of budget? Are you looking up to 1.3 million or something maybe a little lighter?
Let's say I'm looking up to 650.
650. Okay, perfect. We're kind of, let's see, what kind of bedrooms here? How many bedrooms do you need?
3.
3 bedrooms. Okay, so you need at least 3.
Yeah, at least 3 bedrooms.
All right, at least 3. So 3, 4, 5. Perfect.
It's important that there's at least 2 bathrooms as well.
At least 2 bathrooms. Okay, so this is a large home here. Okay, 650. let's see what we can find for 650. So now, also, what area are you looking for? Like, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here. Tell me what area are you kind of focusing on?
Well, it'd probably be more towards the area of, say, Brampton. I'd like Mississauga, but I imagine that within my price range, I'm probably not going to be able to focus directly on that for the type of home I'm looking for.
All right, so I'm going to focus it on Brampton. So I'm going to create this shape here that's going to pretty much encompass most of Brampton. Maybe we can play around with that, but you can see there. So in Brampton, I've got, oops. So I've got a few here actually. So basically what, again, the search guys, just to recap, is created basically a shape and a defined area. And you can see here that I've got roughly about, I think it was 38 hits, give or take.
Yeah, there's 38 hits in the area that I'm looking for.
Yeah, perfect. So then we go here and then we can check out the list. So let's see what we have here as an example. So you've got the price, taxes, the photos on the side, description, listing information, a whole host of things. So basically that's just a quick example, guys, of something that we're able to actually offer you for free today. Basically, it's this search system. If you like to actually do your own searches, you can simply just either, I think in the chat group, you can just put your, just say yes. Just put yes, and we'll find you and we'll send you at least a link so you can create your own searches. The beauty of the system is that anything new that comes up is going to be sent to you on a daily basis. And you can create a multitude of searches. You can search Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, but at least this way you can kind of engage in what's available in the marketplace today.
For sure.
Okay.
You can change your budget that you're looking for. Say, for example, there's a little bit more money that you wanted to spend, like Tom said. Sometimes you have to spend just a little more to get that perfect home for you.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is that you actually get all this information. This is a nice one here. You may want to buy this one. Here, 25 Jackman for $625.
This is going to go into a bidding war, Tom. I want to stay away from bidding wars. They worry me.
Yeah, usually when they're that nice, they usually have, there's a reason why. But nonetheless, guys, that's what we can offer you. So if you are interested in that, just click, just type in yes, and we're happy to send that to you. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to switch back to our screen here. The other thing too to make mention is that we do have what we call exclusive listings. So these are off-market opportunities, similar to what you just saw, but on a different platform that are not on the MLS. I repeat that, not on the MLS. So these are properties that may be coming out in the next week or two, or there may be just sellers that just want to remain anonymous for one reason or another. The point being is that that is another system that we can offer as part of our services, okay? So just to kind of wrap things up here, wanted to, again, you can sign up for that system that we mentioned to you, that search capabilities. We're happy to share that with you, and you can, again, there's no cost, no obligation with that. We are hosting another educational webinar that is happening on Thursday, July 16th. It's how to sell your home for top dollar during COVID-19. So COVID-19 has certainly changed how we are selling homes as terms of safety, procedures. This seminar is for someone that's looking to sell their home and like to be a little more educated on how we are doing that and how we're able to achieve top dollar and keeping in mind health and safety precautions. Okay.
Yeah, I think the key point in that title is to sell still for top dollar. Just because we are dealing with this pandemic doesn't mean that we're not altering the way that we're selling homes to still met the top value for your home.
Absolutely. So we do have some tips and strategies on how to achieve that. So again, that is Thursday, July 16th. We will send you an invitation there. You're more than welcome to register. And again, there's no cost. It's free of charge. And also share with your friends and family. Okay. So kind of just to wrap things up, again, the process to buying home is simple, but not always easy. What you do want to do is surround yourself with professionals. Carmelo's here today. He's happy to answer your questions, but I'd suggest get pre-qualified by Carmelo and have him take care of you as far as the financing is concerned. As far as if you're looking for a one-on-one session, as far as your needs, in terms of buying a property, Eric and I are happy to provide you with a one-on-one session, whether it is virtual or in person, whatever makes sense for you. We're happy to take care of that as well. So again, we wanted to thank you for attending this seminar, and I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If anything, I think the search functions that we're offering here are something that you can really take home with you today.